Today we're going over 2.2 linear equations. So when we're looking at linear equations, we should see the word line in the equation. So linear equations, when we graph them, they're going to form lines. So there are a couple of forms that we are going over today. The first one is standard form. And standard form is you're going to be getting your x and your y variables to one side. So the form is ax plus by is equal to c. And all this means is that your x and your y are on one side. And it also wants your coefficients, the numbers in front of your variables, to be whole numbers. The next form is point slope form, and that is going to have exactly what it says. It's going to have a point in it, and it's going to have the slope in it. So if we have the point x1, y1 as a point, and we have this our point, and we have the slope is going to be variable m, we're going to write it as y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And then the third form is slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. And that is going to also have a slope, and it's going to have the intercept, and it's going to be the y-intercept. So that is y equals mx plus b, where m stands for the slope and b stands for your y-intercept. Okay, which is just where your line crosses your y-axis. All right, so let's try a problem, and we can look at all of the forms. Try putting in all of the forms. So let's say that we have 2 points. We have a point 5, 1, and -4, -3. And we want to write it in all three forms. We want to write the equation of this line in all three forms. So in order to do that, the first thing you're going to have to do is find the slope. And to find slope, you're going to use a change in y over the change in x. And you can remember this because slope is also rise over run. When you're rising, you're changing the y. And when you're running, you're changing the x. Okay, so it doesn't matter which point you start with, but if we say that this is, if 5 is x1, then your 1 is y1. They have to be corresponding within the ordered pair. If this is x2, then this is y2. Okay, so we'll just plug it into our form, and we have m equals change in y. So we'll have -3 minus 1, -3 minus 1, over, since I started with this y, I have to start with this x, -4 minus 5. So we have a -3 minus 1 is a -4 over -9, which is 4/9. That's our slope. Okay, so now we have a slope and we have 2 points. So since we have that, we can either plug it into point slope form because we have a point and the slope, or you can plug it into slope intercept form by plugging in the slope and plugging in the point xy, but then you would also have to find b, your y-intercept. So let's go ahead and plug it into point slope form. And I'm just going to erase these here so we have some more room. So we're going to plug it into point slope form. Point slope form. So we'll write down the form first. Y minus y1 equals m times x1. And you remember that your slope is with the x values. It's with your x values in point slope form, and it's also with your x values for your slope intercept form. Okay, so it doesn't matter which point you use. So let's just go ahead and use 5, 1 as our point. So we're going to have y minus, our y1 will be 1, equals, our slope is 4/9 times x minus 5. So this is one of the forms already. This is in point slope form. The next one that we can get it in is slope intercept form. And that is when your y is on one side. So we're going to take the equation that we just did, which is in point slope form, and we're just going to manipulate it a little bit so that your y is by itself. So what we'll do is we'll first distribute in 4/9. So when you distribute in, you're multiplying it to every term. So we could do some side work with this, which is 4/9 times -5/1 is going to give us a -20/9. You can leave it like that, which is an improper fraction, or you can change it to a mixed number by saying 9 goes into 20 2 times, because 9 times 2 is 18, and then there's 2 left over, -2 and 2/9. So this is a -2 and 2/9. And it's better to put it as a mixed number, because when you go to actually graph it, it'll be easier to graph it when it's a mixed number rather than improper fraction. Now we're just going to add 1 to both sides to cancel that out. And finally we get y equals 4/9x. If you're -2 and 2/9 and then you have one more, then you're -1 and 2/9. Okay, so then this is going to be in slope intercept form. And then the last form we'll do is get it into standard form, which just means to get x and y on one side, and then to write your coefficients as whole numbers. Okay, so let's take this right here. And we're going to first bring 4/9 to the left, minus 4/9x. So right now we have a -4/9x, sorry, it's a little sloppy, plus y is equal to -1 and 2/9. So we can actually change this one back to an improper fraction, because we're going to have to eventually multiply this whole thing by 9. Okay, so -1 and 2/9. We're going to change that to an improper fraction. We're going to keep the negative sign. And then we do 9 times 1 is 9, plus 2 is -11/9. So in order to get all of them to be, all of the coefficients to be whole numbers, we're going to multiply everything by the least common denominator. So in this case it's 9. And then you're going to distribute that to every term here. And therefore we'll get -4x plus 9y is equal to -11. And this is standard form.